So in my video where I talk about how some of the recent Marvel projects explore the concept of free will, I briefly talk about Steven Spielberg's masterpiece Minority Report. And after rewatching this movie, I loved it so much that I wanted to talk about it individually. Now this video will contain spoilers because it is an analysis and I'm required to talk about the plot, characters and themes of the film, so I am warning you. The first act of Minority Report is terrific. It is all set up for what's to come later in the film. It contains strong world building where we see the futuristic world and are introduced to our protagonist, John Anderton. He's an officer working in the Department of Pre-Crime, a system where three precognitions work in a hive mind to show a possible future crime taking place, and then the cops have to try and stop that crime from happening. Anderton's beliefs too are introduced, and he believes in the system of pre-crime and considers it to be a perfectly working system. But we also learn why he believes this. Before pre-crime, Anderton was a simple cop who had lost his son in a public pool, and this has been traumatizing him for the past 6 years, and he believes that this wouldn't have happened if pre-crime existed. So there is an emotional reason as to why he believes in what he believes. Now, Anderton's opponent is Danny Whitwer, who's a Department of Justice agent sent to supervise pre-crime before it becomes a nationwide practice. So his job is to look for flaws in the system, if any, and this is why he's the perfect antagonist to Anderton, who believes in the system. Whitwer challenges Anderton's beliefs, and this not only makes for great conflict, but also for interesting conversation about fate and free will, which is basically the theme of the film. Anderton believes that stopping the crime from happening doesn't really change the fact that the crime was going to happen, but Whitwer believes that the system is flawed because the victims are getting arrested before committing the crime. Narratively, this ideological difference is what sets up the conflict between Anderton and Whitwer. Now, the inciting incident in a screenplay is defined as the moment where the main character is thrusted into the action of the story, and the inciting incident of this film is when Anderton realizes that he has been convicted of a future crime. So now he's on the run from the people he has worked with. This incident is when the second act begins and when Anderton's beliefs are truly challenged. Everything that he had come to believe comes crashing down and leaves him morally confused. This is when Anderton realizes that the system of pre-crime is flawed and has to fix things, while also running for his life, which makes the external plot entertaining as it makes for fantastic action sequences. I also love the visual look of the film where it is desaturated but also looks glowy. The desaturated look allows for the shadows to pop out more, which makes for more contrast. It looks futuristic, but the intense shadows also make the world feel mysterious. The active camera gives the scenes a sense of momentum and puts us in the headspace of the character. Many times the camera shifts its perspective, so even though a character remains static, the scene maintains its intensity through the movement of another character in the same scene. As it was set up in the first act, Anderton is forced to change his eyes with that of another, because the technology can scan his eyes and identify him. And in a scene where a few small robots enter a building and scan everyone's eyes, I love the way this scene is shot, as it is shown from the perspective of a god's eye view, where we see everything from the top, allowing us to see who's where and how far Anderton is from coming in contact with the robots, which adds to the suspense of the scene. Now, throughout the entire film, Anderton has been trying to avoid his fate, and he doesn't think he is going to kill a man he's never met, as predicted by the precogs. But in the journey of avoiding his fate, Anderton ends up right in it. He finds out that the man he was going to kill was the man who had taken his son away from him, and now this personal connection ends up in Anderton being blinded by hate. And just as we think he's about to kill him, he stops. Anderton has the choice not to kill and ends up deciding not to. And it is not at all an easy choice, and we know that because of his trauma of losing his child. And this moment progresses the theme of the film about choice and free will. The character's actions are what defines their true nature. The harder the choice, the truer the character nature. It's a great moment because it builds on the characters as well as the themes of the film. In the climax of the film, Whitwer figures out the flaw in the system, how the flaw was exploited, and who it was. Lamar Burgess, one of the founding members of Pre-Crime and a somewhat father figure to John, was the man who got away with killing once, and he used a flaw in the system of pre-crime to do it, and to maintain the order from falling. John figures this out and uses this to expose Lamar in public. His mission now is to ensure the downfall of pre-crime now that he has seen its downsides. The final showdown between Anderton and Lamar is crucial because if Lamar kills Anderton, it proves that pre-crime still works, and if Lamar doesn't kill Anderton, then Lamar goes to prison. The close-up shot here doesn't completely allow us to see what happens. The gunshot, smoke and facial expressions make us think that Anderton got shot. until it cuts to a medium shot where Lamar falls and dies. He went against what was predicted, and so through this, the film makes the point that humans do have free will. The film ends on a satisfying note as Anderton brings down pre-crime and the world continues as it was. Anderton grows as a character as the obstacles he faces challenges his beliefs and forces him to make an internal change. Minority Report is another one of Steven Spielberg's masterpieces. It's a fantastic sci-fi thriller and it's perfect because it explores the theme through putting characters in extreme situations where they are forced to make difficult choices. The masterful filmmaking only elevates the written material to create one of the best movies ever made. Thank you for watching.